All right, this is the entity that's engaging in what is obsessive and demonic, highly demonic stalking. This is group stalking. This is presence in the path. So in a helicopter, they are doing this back and forth, tracking my every move as I'm walking around on the property. And you also know, you're recognizing what is demonic activity, the demonic method of targeting someone, while the demon-possessed population want to create what is the system that's designed to falsely depict the targeted individual as suffering from some mental incapacity. And so that's what you're understanding is malice. And you're recognizing the fact that the entity is stalking and while maintaining presence in the path while the light source is directly above you. And that's what you'll see. The still images of the light source, which is directly above my head. All right, creating what was the shadow. It's very faint now. The entity is maintaining this light source. This is seconds ago. The entity starts sounding helicopter activity. Everything that's occurring is demonic. The disappearance of the light source is not the natural environment. This is where it's rising and setting at the same address. The amplification of audible activity where you cannot audibly hear it naturally. These are demons that are targeting you, and it's all under a malicious system that's underway, where you have a whole population that's focused on you and targeting you in highly demonic methods, that which is supposed to be outside of any ability to humanly establish it or prove it, let alone in a court. Okay, but that's speaking to what is malice. That's why you're going to prosecute the government and the people of the state and the ways in which they do. And you're also understanding what are the requirement of mental examinations for the entity engaged in group stalking. It's revealing what is a psychopath. All right, so and that's a population of psychopaths. These are ticking time bombs. This does create what is the public safety concern when you're exposing and witnessing and understanding what the entity is actually doing, and your necessarily deranged mind state, which is very disturbing when you're engaging in this system. In addition, what I'm sharing with you today was March 22nd, 2022. So while you're looking at what is already documented, the entity is already captured, keeping a light source over me from the beginning to the end of the day, just like it's on this side in the morning and it's on that side of me in the evening, and then it's outside of my the same apartment complex. I live here, and it's outside of my bedroom window. So that's going to be the sun under any circumstances at any time of year ever. Okay, but this is the entity that's stalking you. That's how you know that they're stalkers, and they are stalkers using helicopters. That's the grounds of disbanding. Okay, that's a department full of demon-possessed psychopaths who are engaged in state surveillance in the state of California, and that's the department that should never be emulated in any television or movie, by the way. They are no model. They are an example for what is highly, highly disturbed conduct, personality defects, corruption gone wild, okay? This needs to be literally hosed down. It needs to be contained, okay? Because they are literally out of control. So anyway, the entity is maintaining this light source. Remember, March 22nd, 2022, same time of year. There's never going to be any sun over me while I'm facing building 1810 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, California, building 1812 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, California, while I am, after having captured the Pomona Police Department at the Pomona Transit Center in Pomona, California, as I get to Pomona, never came to El Alvarado. There's no sun that's going to be over Alvarado while it's over me, while I'm getting on Route 61, arriving to Pomona, and then getting back on Route 61, going eastbound. I'm clearly capturing the light source over my head on the bus, which is the pattern of conduct, never coming to Los Angeles, but yet you're looking at the light source that's remaining over me, and then you're also remember what is tracking my steps, demons that are affiliated with police departments tracking my steps while I'm staying at the same address all day long, where the light source is rising and setting, where you've seen the ongoing evidence of what is engineered light all over in my apartment, all over buildings, while the third-party group stalkers who are the demon-possessed are group stalking in that environment. And then there's psychopaths that ask you questions about what you're doing when they're monitoring on your communication device, maintaining ongoing real-time knowledge as a demon-possessed and corrupt entity together. That's a psychopath, and that's also a sex offender. Okay, it is currently 11:40 a.m. and this is the documentation of the light source. So remember what I'm doing at this time on March 22nd, 2022, after documenting the criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Because that's exactly what they're doing in Los Angeles while I remain here. The entity is engaged in state surveillance while I am staying here. This is P.O.C. headquarters, where I'm at. All of an entity, all of a public entity. It's focused on me, including those demons of speaker companies in Palo Alto, engaging in relevant positioning in concert with the entity. So let me be clear. They're engaging in what is federal stalking. They're engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring, that is, while they're also engaged in state surveillance on the venue of the internet in the workplace. And that's going to be a recognized and respected grounds of federal prosecution of the entity monitoring you. All right, it is, again, ongoing evidence against the entity because the demons can't control themselves. It's unfortunate. Don Nago, Kimberly Fletcher, Yolanda Poon, Eddie Lung, Susan of speaker companies, Todd Speaker himself, Maria Solis Alvarez, Selena Robledo, Carla Lopez, going to federal prison, monitoring with this entity, both in relevant position and on the venue of the internet. And this is an admission against them while the entity flies over in real time while they listen to me. Let me be clear. Their real-time knowledge of everything that I'm stating and everything as I say it, which is exemplified through their appearance in helicopters where they're not going anywhere. That demon didn't go anywhere. They're crossing path under the light source that's over my head. That's not going to be over the window of any Route 61 bus going eastbound, leaving leaving Pomona at this time, same time of year, and on March 22nd, 2022. And that's the LAPD that you're going to disband. Those are demons flying helicopters, wildly corrupt. Okay, and I'm seeing them on television shows. I'm seeing them fictional. You're emulating them in fictional shows. Those are stalkers. Okay, a stalker is nobody to emulate. They are no example whatsoever, and they're demons. This is the reality of it. Okay, so I want to be clear. You are emulating Satan, because this is what Satan is using. Are using these vessels that are wearing, bearing weapons, first of all, and bearing badges, engaging in state surveillance, demonstrating to the state that they are indeed engaged in state surveillance. While I speak about who's going to federal prison, the entity with whom they are monitoring crosses path in helicopter. That is Don Nago, Kimberly Fletcher, Yolanda Poon, Maria Solis Alvarez, Selena Robledo, Carla Lopez, Maria Hernandez, Speaker Companies Incorporated itself, threatening my life in concert with that state, whom they're engaging in that criminal system with. And that is the legal relevance, and that's the prosecution of an entity that's engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking on the venue of the internet. That same entity that's maintaining that real-time knowledge exemplified through the group stalking in real time while I talk about him is also engaging in what are those federal policies with regard to the privacy that you are afforded under federal law as a federal housing recipient, federal housing program participant. Speaker Companies is in violation of it. Speaker Companies employees are in violation of it. The people of the state that are group stalking are in violation of that, and that's a whole other distinct grounds of federal prosecution, by the way. So while that's demonstrated through that real-time engagement in the P.O.C, it's no distraction. It's an ongoing admission and corroboration. There's no light source that's going to remain over me, as I've documented on March 22nd, 2022. The entity can arrive at any time of the day. It's an ongoing prosecution of the state of California at any time of the day, because the sun's never going to be here while it's remaining over me in Ontario, remaining over me as I travel to Pomona on Omnitrans, a third-party group stalker on Hope Boulevard, and I go back to Ontario, never coming to Los Angeles. There would never be any sun over my head at any time of day. The sun would never be rising nor setting at no time in the day ever, based on the documentation of March 22nd, 2022, where the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are engaging exactly what you see LAPD doing, being demons stalking in the path under the light source in concert with the people of the state. That's P.O.C.